A woman gave birth to twins. 10 days later she was horrified to learn the truth.
Hello everyone, enjoy these relaxing moments while you watch.
Colorado, in the dead of winter. The wind cut like a blade, and snow blanketed the entrance to St. Vincent Medical Center, a public hospital. The fluorescent light spilling from the glass doors was pale and cold like the face of Carla, the woman lying on a stretcher, gasping from intense contractions. Sweat dotted her forehead despite the room being ice cold. She was in active labor. "Hang in there, Carla." "Deep breaths," said OB/GYN doctor and Morgan, her voice firm yet composed. Carla gripped the bed rail tightly. How much longer?" she panted, her eyes bloodshot. "Not long. The baby's almost here," Nurse Lucy replied, glancing at the fetal heart monitor. Carla murmured, "Daniel. Where's my Daniel? Your husband was in a car accident. He's still at Mercy General Hospital," doctor and said softly, avoiding eye contact. "But you have to stay strong. For your babies." A scream tore through the room. "The head's out. Just a little more." A baby's cry rang out. The first girl was born healthy, her skin rosy, hair thick and black as velvet. Lucy gently cleaned the baby and laid her on Carla's chest. Carla burst into tears exhausted, but her eyes lit up with the only spark of hope in that dark day. "She's beautiful, looks just like Daniel," Carla whispered, kissing her daughter's forehead. But there was no time to savor the moment. Another wave of pain struck. "There's one more, let's go, push." Sweat soaked the pillow. 1 minute, 2, 3 went by. No cry. "The second baby, what about the second baby?" Carla asked, scanning the room with rising panic. Lucy frowned. "Her skin's a bit bluish. No light reflex." "Doctor, low respiration rate. Possible neonatal respiratory distress," another nurse, Ethan, reported, his hands trembling as he handed over the oxygen mask. Doctor and moved quickly. "Incubator now. Get the ventilator ready. Carla, stay calm. The baby just needs a little help. I want to see her. Let me see my baby." Carla cried out. Moments later, Ethan briefly held the baby up for Carla to see and her eyes froze. Her eyes. "They're not right. She doesn't look like the first one." Carla screamed. And placed a hand on her shoulder. "Carla, calm down. She may have been deprived of oxygen at birth, so she might look a little different. But everything's going to be fine." "No, I remember clearly. She had a small birthmark under her neck when she came out. This baby doesn't have it." Lucy interjected, "You just gave birth. It's easy to get confused. Let the medical team take care of her. We'll update you as soon as we get test results." "I'm not confused. I'm not crazy," Carla shouted in panic. They held her down gently as a nurse administered an injection into her arm. "It's just a light sedative. You need rest." Before her eyelids grew too heavy to hold open, Carla caught a glimpse of Ethan pushing the incubator out of the room, his gait unsteady, his movements furtive. And in that fleeting moment, a seed of dread was planted. 3 a.m. Carla awoke in the postpartum room. Outside the window, snow was still falling. The overhead light glowed faintly. A young nurse, Paige, sat at the desk, writing in a medical log. "Excuse me. Where are my babies?" Carla asked, her voice hoarse. Paige looked up. "Good morning, Miss Carla. The first baby is right here with you. The second one is under close observation in the NICU. Don't worry." Carla turned to see her first daughter sleeping peacefully in the plastic bassinet beside her bed. But inside, she felt hollow. Something was wrong, something she couldn't explain with logic. "I want to see the second baby. It's almost morning. You should get some more rest." We'll arrange it first thing. No. I want to go now. Paige hesitated, then pressed the call button for a doctor. A young resident named Andrew entered, holding a file. Carla, I'm Dr. Andrew Thomas. The second baby is stable now. But we still need to monitor her for a few more hours. Stable? Everyone keeps saying stable. Then why are her eyes lifeless? Her skin bluish? Why doesn't she have the birthmark? Carla demanded. Andrew frowned. Birthmark? Under her chin. I saw it clearly when she was born. Paige added, there's no record of such a mark in the birth notes. It could have been a visual mistake, maybe from the sedation. I wasn't sedated, Carla snapped. Andrew tried to reassure her, we'll double-check the records and take new photos. Please, don't stress yourself. Carla stared straight at him. I'll check it myself. That night, while the hospital slept, Carla quietly slipped out of her room. She stole a nurse's access card left unattended and made her way to the NICU. The second baby lay in the incubator, surrounded by tubes and machines. Carla placed her hand on the glass, silently watching. Under the pale neon light, the baby's face was still and cold. Her eyes were open but unfocused, like staring into nothingness. You're my daughter, right? Carla whispered, her voice choked. A nurse entered, not Paige, not Lucy. A graying man she hadn't seen before. What are you doing here? He asked, voice low and sharp. I'm her mother. I have the right to see her. Not at this hour. Leave now. He wore no name tag. His lab coat was old and worn. Carla eyed him from head to toe. Who are you? I've never seen you here before. Night shift rotation. You should go back to rest. Carla stepped back, suspicion growing in her chest. He watched her leave, his eyes steely and cold. The next morning, Carla called her best friend Emily Ross, a nurse at another hospital. Emily. I need your help, Carla said over the phone, her voice trembling. Something's not right. I think my baby was switched. Emily was stunned. Carla, are you sure? That's an extremely serious accusation. I know. But she's not the baby I gave birth to. Not in appearance, not in scent, not in reaction. And there's someone at the hospital no one seems to know. You need evidence. Don't act impulsively. I'll help you check the birth records. Send me the names of the night shift nurses and any pictures you have. Carla nodded, though she already knew, a horrifying truth had just begun to reveal itself. Day 4 after birth. Colorado remained overcast and freezing. Carla sat in the postpartum room, her face pale, dark circles under her eyes from lack of sleep. She held her healthy daughter in her arms, the baby fidgeting sweetly with pink cheeks. But her mind was with the other child, the one who didn't cry, didn't focus, barely breathed. Lucy, Carla called out when she spotted the familiar nurse. Lucy stopped, visibly uneasy. What is it, Carla? I want to check the second baby again. It's been 4 days, and her eyes are still blank. And I've discovered, she paused, biting her lip, she doesn't have the birthmark under her chin. Lucy hesitated. What birthmark? A small brown comma-shaped mark, right under the chin. I saw it clearly the moment she came out. Lucy looked away. Might have been the lighting. Pigment marks on newborns can fade. Carla pressed on. No. I know what I saw. And another thing. She reached down and picked up the nighttime diaper, holding it out to Lucy. Here. Smell her sweat. Lucy brought it to her nose and wrinkled her brow. Smells, metallic. Yes. Like blood. Carla lowered her voice. That's not normal sweat. I asked other nurses, they said maybe it's due to 4 meds. But no one could name the drug. Lucy blinked. What are you implying? I think someone tampered with that baby. Lucy took a half step back. Carla. I think you're experiencing postpartum stress. It might be delusional trauma. Carla's tone hardened. I am not delusional. And I have every right to request a full medical exam for my baby. You can do that, but only with a doctor's approval. Let me inform them. Lucy hurried out. Carla watched her leave, suspicion etched into her face. She didn't trust anyone anymore. 1 hour later. Dr. and Morgan and Dr. Andrew entered. Andrew held a slim folder, tapping it lightly on the table. We've reviewed the medical test request Ms. Carla submitted, and began. However, our internal testing system is undergoing maintenance. We won't be able to run additional tests for at least 3 more days. Maintenance? Carla narrowed her eyes. Since when? Started yesterday. There's an internal memo, Andrew interjected. I want to see that memo. Andrew hesitated. I'll get you a printed copy. And the birth record for the second baby? And gently pushed the folder toward her. I'm afraid there's been a glitch. The digital records for the second baby are currently inaccessible. Possibly an error during ID input. Carla froze. Are you saying, my baby has no birth record? We're coordinating with the IT department to restore it, and said in a lowered voice. But, it can happen. Carla shook with anger. So a newborn baby in a public hospital has no medical record and you expect me to sit here and wait? And kept her composure. Ms. Carla, we're deeply sorry. But please, be patient. The truth will come out. No. I've had enough. Carla stood abruptly. I'm getting a DNA test done myself. And flinched slightly. You'll need the guardian's or father's consent. Her father is in the hospital, hit by a drunk driver. And I'm her mother. I'll find another way. That afternoon, Emily sent a text. Send me hair samples from both babies. I'll have someone at a private lab help us. Carla replied. I'll send them tonight. They're hiding the birth data. I think I'm being watched. Emily messaged back urgently. Be careful, Carla. Don't trust anyone in that hospital. Carla gently cut a few strands of hair from the 2 babies and placed them in separate envelopes. Waiting until midnight, she stepped into the hallway and quietly handed them to a delivery man whom Emily had hired, a tall, slender man with a raspy voice named Mark. Ms. Carla, he asked softly. Yes. These are the samples. Please send them out. As soon as possible. Don't worry. I know the route. You'll have the results in 36 hours. Carla squeezed his hand tightly. Thank you, please don't let anyone know about this. Mark nodded and disappeared into the darkness. Thursday morning. Carla sat in the waiting room, eavesdropping on a conversation between 2 night shift nurses, one named Bella, the other Trinity. I swear, something was weird that night, Bella whispered. You mean the newborn with respiratory failure? Trinity asked. No. The delivery. There was this unfamiliar nurse, named, what was it? Ryan? He wasn't on the list. Ryan? We don't have anyone here by that name. I know. But he had a badge, full uniform. He didn't talk to anyone. And he disappeared before the shift ended. Carla suddenly stood up. Excuse me, did you say Ryan? Bella jumped. Sorry, that's internal staff talk. No. I need to know. Please, did either of you see a man around 40, silver hair, tall, deep-set eyes? Trinity tilted her head. I'm not sure. But, yes, there was someone like that. I thought he was a doctor from another hospital helping out. Carla took a deep breath. He wasn't on the staff list, was he? Bella and Trinity exchanged looks, then shook their heads. No. And the next morning, he was gone. That night, Carla didn't sleep. Her eyes were bloodshot as she wrote down every detail: birth time, who made contact, names of nurses, doctors, anything strange. A growing list formed, ending with one name written in block letters: Ryan, identity unconfirmed. Friday night. The St. Vincent Medical Center was silent. Only a few shadows moved faintly under the dim yellow hallway lights. Carla sat curled up on her bed, sleepless. Her maternal instincts were sharp, like a wounded animal, paranoid, restless, and ready to fight. The wind howled outside like a child crying. Or maybe it was her mind, beginning to crack. Around 2 a.m, a soft sound echoed just outside the door. Carla jolted upright, heart pounding. She stepped over and opened the door, and saw a thick envelope lying neatly on the floor. No one around. No footsteps. Only a dark, icy corridor. Carla bent down, her hands trembling as she picked it up. There was no sender listed, just a single scrawled line in red ink. Open this if you still want to save your child. She locked the door, hands shaking as she pulled out the contents. A crumpled piece of paper, smeared with dried blood on the edge. The handwriting was jagged, as if done by someone left-handed or mentally disturbed. Your child is in Pine Hollow. Don't trust anyone in this hospital. Save him, before the training is complete. He will perform the ritual under the full moon. Sign in blood if you want to proceed. Otherwise, stay silent and forget everything. Carla's eyes widened, her hand shook so hard she dropped the rest of the envelope. A photo slipped out, face down on the floor. She picked it up and flipped it over. A scream tore from her throat. Oh my God! It was a blurry photo, taken with an old camera. A newborn baby was locked inside a metal cage, his hands tied with moldy cloth. His eyes were swollen, bruised, his face filthy, dried blood streaked across one cheek. No, this can't be real. Carla collapsed to the floor, the photo shaking in her hand. She snatched up her phone and called Emily. Emily. Someone sent me a photo. It's my son, I know it's him. He's locked up, he's being tortured. Oh my God, Emily. Emily's voice broke on the other end. Send me the picture right now. And the letter too. Carla took photos and sent them through the encrypted app Emily had installed earlier. Less than a minute later, Emily called back. Carla, that handwriting. I've seen it before. In an old medical file. The way that H is written, it's very specific. It might be someone named Robert Martin. Carla held her breath. Robert, who's Robert? He used to be a nurse in the maternity unit. Fired 2 years ago for harassing mothers and violent behavior. Then he vanished. Why would he have my child? I don't know. But if you really switched your baby, then this isn't just kidnapping. The next morning, Carla brought the photo to Dr. Anna. She covered the blood stains and didn't mention the letter. Dr. Anna, she placed the photo on the desk. I received this from an anonymous source. What do you think? And examined it closely, her brows furrowing. It's an old photo. No location. Who sent it to you? I don't know. But I believe this is my son. He was switched the night I gave birth. This photo might be proof. And tapped her fingers on the table. Carla, I'm genuinely concerned for your mental health. You're clearly experiencing severe trauma. No. I'm lucid. I know the smell of my child's hair. I remember the birthmark on his neck. He was switched. The baby in this photo is imprisoned. And you, none of you are doing anything. Doctor N sighed. I'll notify the hospital board to begin an internal investigation. But you must understand, claims like these require solid evidence. Carla took the photo back and shoved it into her pocket. I'll find the evidence myself. That afternoon, Carla took the stairs and ran into Ethan, the night nurse who was on shift when she gave birth. Carla, Ethan whispered, did you receive anything strange? Carla froze. Why do you ask? Because I saw a strange man leave something outside your room last night. I thought it was a relative. But he looked terrifying. Long coat, hood, stood there for a full minute, then disappeared. Carla grabbed Ethan's arm. Did you see his face? Not clearly. But I remember his walk. He limped on his left leg. Suddenly, Carla remembered the strange man in the intensive care unit had the same limp. Ethan, have you ever heard the name Robert Martin? Ethan flinched. Robert? Where did you hear that name? You know him? Yes, he was a nurse here. But he wasn't right in the head. He'd ramble about blood, rituals, and living dolls. One time, he nearly suffocated a newborn to test the limits of its cry. My God! He got fired after a scandal. But no one gave statements, too afraid of getting involved. Then, he vanished. Carla looked into Ethan's eyes, her voice low. Would you help me? Ethan hesitated, then nodded slightly. I'll tell you who was on duty the night you gave birth. But you can't mention my name to anyone. That night, Carla opened her photo gallery and zoomed in on the picture of the captive baby. In the corner of the frame, something strange was carved into the wooden floor, some sort of small symbol. She took a screenshot and sent it to Emily. Minutes later, Emily called, her voice hoarse with worry. Carla. I've seen this symbol. In Robert's psych records. You mean, it's his personal mark? No. It's a symbol from a notebook he kept, titled Training the Sacrifice. It details every step to condition an infant into a living doll. Carla choked back a sob. He's going to kill my baby. No. He'll keep the baby until the full moon to complete the ritual. You have a few days left. How many? 4. After the full moon, the baby, in his words, will no longer be called human. Late that night, Carla took a small needle and pricked her finger, letting a drop of blood fall onto the crumpled letter. With shaking hands, she signed the blank line below. Carla Mitchell. Biological mother of the child. Not because she believed in the monstrous pact. But because she knew, only by walking into the darkness, could she drag the light back out. Morning of the 9th day after giving birth. The air inside the hospital felt thick and heavy. Carla sat alone in the hospital room, clutching the photo of the baby in the metal cage. She was waiting for a single phone call from Mark, the man who had taken the hair samples to a private lab. The phone vibrated. Carla snatched it up, her voice barely a whisper. Mark? Do you have it? I'm outside the hospital, he said urgently. Can you come down? I've got the results. Carla nodded and hung up. She threw on her coat without informing any nurse and silently left the floor. In the back parking lot, Mark stood next to a silver pickup truck. He handed Carla a thick envelope, sealed in plastic. There are only 2 copies, one for you, one I'm keeping as backup. But I'd advise you to read it when you're ready. Carla ignored the advice. She tore open the package and pulled out the printed sheets. Her eyes darted across the technical lines. Results. Sample 1 matches biological mother Carla Mitchell and father Daniel Carter. Sample 2 has no matching data in the National Biological Registry. The last sentence felt like a dagger to her chest. No matching data. Carla stood frozen. Mark asked gently, "Are you okay?" "No," she replied, her voice hollow. "I'm not okay. I haven't been okay since the night I gave birth." She returned to the hospital room, gripping the results tightly in her hand. Just as she walked in, the room phone rang. It was Emily. Carla. You saw the results, right? Yes, Carla exhaled heavily. One of them is mine. The other is. No one. Exactly what I feared. And that's not even the worst part. Carla fell silent. What else? I just searched the nurse registry. The name signed on your delivery report, that nurse, doesn't exist in any staff record. Carla frowned. What's the name? Valerie Grant. But the hospital hasn't had anyone by that name for the past 3 years. Then who signed the paperwork? Who delivered my baby? My guess? An imposter. Possibly an accomplice of Robert Martin. Carla gripped the phone tighter. I want to speak to the hospital director. Carla, don't be rash. If they find out you did an external DNA test, they'll try to cover it up. Let me keep digging. No. I'm doing it my way. Carla stormed into the hospital's human resources office. She knocked hard on the door. A middle-aged woman in a blue blazer, Margaret Harris, head of HR, opened it with a surprised look. Excuse me, can I help you? I'm the patient from room 312. I need to verify the name of a nurse from the night shift on the 2nd, Valerie Grant. Margaret frowned. Give me a moment. She scrolled through the computer for a few minutes, then looked up. I'm afraid, no such person works or has worked here. Then why is her name signed on my child's birth certificate? Carla pulled out the document. Margaret took it, her face darkening. This signature, it belongs to Robert Martin. We kept samples of his handwriting on file. What did you just say? Carla asked slowly, her voice turning cold. Robert used aliases to sign various documents. After he was terminated, he stole back his old ID card. The security guards thought he still worked here and let him through. Carla stepped back, disbelief in her eyes. The hospital let a fired employee, someone accused of assaulting mothers, walk freely into the maternity ward. Margaret looked uneasy. That happened 2 years ago. And he disappeared after that. We didn't expect. Didn't expect. My child was swapped in this hospital. By a monster you let roam free. Margaret was speechless. Carla tore the document apart, threw the pieces on the floor, and walked away, her heart ready to shatter. That afternoon, Daniel, her husband, was transferred from the ICU to a regular room at Mercy General Hospital. Carla video called him. Daniel looked gaunt, a bandage wrapped around his forehead, for still attached. But his eyes lit up when he saw Carla. Carla, are you okay? How are the babies? Carla bit her lip as tears welled up. Daniel, something terrible has happened. What? Tell me. Our son, the one you never got to see, she choked on her words. He was switched. Daniel froze. What? Carla held up the DNA results to the camera. One of the babies is not ours. And that baby has no DNA record in the national system. He belongs to no one. Daniel whispered, no way. It's true. And there's more, the person who delivered our baby was an imposter. His name is Robert Martin. A lunatic who was fired years ago. And now, he has our son. Daniel clenched his fists, voice raspy. Then what do we do? Find our baby. No matter how far we have to go. That evening, Carla returned to the hospital room, where the swapped baby was sleeping peacefully. She looked at him, blank expression, mouth slightly open. Even knowing he wasn't hers, her heart ached. Lucy walked in. You're still awake. What's her name? Carla asked. Who? This baby. What's listed on the records? Lucy checked the digital chart. There's no name. Hospital ID code is NB 4782. No parents. No records. So where did she come from? Lucy shook her head. I don't know. We just care for them based on assignment. Carla gently stroked the child's hair. I need a few days off. I'm filing for discharge. Lucy was surprised. So soon? I have to find my real child, before it's too late. 10th night. Carla sat in a small rented room on the outskirts of Colorado, where she and Emily had moved after leaving the hospital. The apartment was tiny and old, but quiet and isolated. The swapped baby whom they temporarily called NB was sleeping in a crib beside her, wheezing softly, skin turning bluish from time to time like she was about to suffocate. A part of Carla still felt pain looking at the baby, but another part cold and focused knew her biological child was still out there, in the hands of a soulless man. The phone rang. Emily. Carla picked up. Listen. I just found an old voice recording of Robert when he was under psychiatric observation. I'm sending the file to you if you want to confirm. Send it. Carla opened her laptop. The audio played on a basic recorder. A man's voice, deep and slow like an addict's, filled the room. A child doesn't need a mother. It needs silence. Crying is the stain of the soul. Only when the tears are gone can it be a pure sacrifice. Carla shivered, biting her lip. She closed her eyes and imagined her child lying somewhere tied up, forced into silence by a madman's twisted beliefs. A beep. An unknown number was calling. She hesitated, then answered. Hello. A low, familiar voice, eerily similar to the recording. Your son is very obedient. He no longer cries at night. A clean child is easier to cut. Carla's throat closed up. Her hand trembled. Are you Robert? He chuckled softly. Names are just shells. I am merely the one who teaches the soul to leave the flesh. You're holding my son. What do you want? Money? A name? I'll give you everything. I want you silent. Like him. You're sick. I'll find you even if I have to dig up all of Colorado. Another laugh, rough and broken, mingled with the sound of wind and running water. I'm not in Colorado. But I'm closer than you think. The child is learning to breathe without love. I'm calling the police. Go ahead. But remember. He has no birth certificate. No DNA. No name. He's already lost, Carla. Click. The line went dead. Carla threw the phone across the room, grabbed her head, and screamed in despair. The next morning, Carla met Emily at the hospital archives where her friend worked. Emily pulled out a thick file from a steel cabinet. Here. Robert Martin's old personnel records. A lot of pages are missing, but there's still enough to understand who he is. Carla opened it. A worn ID photo stared back. Robert, around 45, long face, sunken eyes, graying thin hair. He didn't look like a nurse. He looked like someone who lived in the woods. Date of hire, 2018. Termination, 2021. Reason, violent behavior, threatening mothers, tampering with infant corpses. Carla read aloud, voice breaking. Emily nodded. After that incident, he vanished. But I found records that he once lived in Appalachia, near the western woods of Pine Hollow. Pine Hollow, Carla remembered the blood-stained letter, your child is in Pine Hollow. I think he went back there, Emily whispered. Carla returned to the apartment and opened a map of the United States. Pine Hollow. A small town near the Canadian border, surrounded by dense forests, rocky hills, and unnamed trails. She dug further and found an old local article from 2022. A man named Robert Martin is suspected to be living in hiding in the Pine Hollow woods, with a mentally impaired woman. Locals describe a shack chained shut, where baby cries are heard at night. No one dares approach. Carla printed out the article. She whispered to herself. You picked the wrong woman to mess with, Robert. That night, while Carla was packing for the journey, the baby, NB, suddenly began to cry. She picked the infant up. His eyes were dull, lips tinged a faint blue. Don't cry anymore, Carla whispered. I won't leave you behind, even if you're not my child. I don't know who you are, but it's not your fault you were born into this. She called Dr. Andrew, the only one at the hospital who hadn't avoided her. Andrew, I need advice. I'm about to leave town. But I can't bring this baby with me, not in his condition. Andrew hesitated. You mean? NB. Yes. I want to leave him with someone I trust. Andrew sighed. Carla, if you want, I can arrange for him to be admitted into intensive care at St. Mary's Medical Center. He'll get full monitoring there. You're sure? I used to work there before coming back to Colorado. I know the medical director. You can trust them. Carla looked at the baby one last time before placing him in the stroller. I'll come back for him. After I find my son. The next morning, Carla boarded a worn-out bus leaving Colorado, headed west toward the forest. In her hands were a hastily printed map, a blurry photo of her son, and a folding knife hidden in her coat. On the bus, a frail old man sat beside her, eyes cloudy, voice raspy. Where you headed, young lady? Carla offered a tired smile. Pine Hollow. He frowned. Not a place for the faint of heart. I'm not faint of heart. Got family there? My son was taken there. The old man went quiet. You going into the woods past the cemetery? Carla turned sharply. How do you know that? He shook his head, face paling. I used to be a ranger. There's a shack, chained shut. Every month, folks hear howling, and babies crying. Then one day, they go silent. Cops checked it once. Found nothing. Do you know the way there? I do. But if you love your son, don't go into the forest past the cemetery. Carla's eyes burned with fire. It's because I love him, that I have to go. The forest sky was gray, heavy clouds looming overhead. Carla stood at the trailhead covered in rotting leaves, just behind Pine Hollow Cemetery. In her hand was the folding knife and the satellite phone Emily had shoved into her hand before she left Colorado. The signal will get weaker the deeper you go, Emily had warned. Only call if it's urgent. A rotting wooden sign marked the entrance, barely legible. Do not enter if you hear whispers, beneath it, smeared in red paint. Carla didn't stop. Meanwhile, nearly 200 kilometers from Springfield, Emily received a call from an old contact, Andrew Nelson, a retired police officer who once investigated missing infants. Andrew, this is Emily, nurse from Colorado. I've got a serious situation. I think it involves Robert Martin. That name. I thought he was dead. No. He's alive. And I believe he's holding a baby in the western woods. A long pause. Then Andrew rasped. I investigated him. He had protection. Higher-ups shut everything down. All files were pulled. No one would talk. We have photos, voice recordings, evidence. A mother is on her way, Carla Mitchell. She's going to his place. Andrew lit a cigarette. Send me the location. I'm going. Deep in the woods, Carla moved past thick branches. No cell signal. The stench of rot and dampness made her nauseous. Crows screeched as they flew overhead. Suddenly, she froze. In front of her stood a rotting wooden cabin, its front door chained with thick iron links. Moss blanketed the walls. To the left, a dry well, to the right, a broken cage with scratch marks, tiny fingernails etched into wood. Carla held her breath. I've made it. She walked to the door and pulled at the chains. They didn't budge. As she struggled, she heard a soft moan from inside. She pressed her ear to the wood. A child's whimper, weak, broken. "Baby. Mommy's here." She ran around the cabin, found a hidden trapdoor beneath old timber. Using her knife, she pried each plank off. After several minutes, a rusted hatch appeared, padlocked. She took the crowbar she'd brought, struck hard. Crack. The lock burst open. The stench was overwhelming. She held her breath, shined her flashlight down. A wooden staircase led into pitch blackness. Below, Robert Martin sat silently at a wooden table covered in dozens of photographs, bound newborns, marked and categorized. A large map of Colorado was pinned to the wall, red dots marking hospitals. Claire, the mentally impaired woman, stood nearby, hair tangled, face dirty, holding a baby. Carla's real son. He was skin and bones, his eyes swollen shut, a large bruise on his forehead. Robert muttered. "Tomorrow is the full moon. Time to finish." Claire whispered. "Baby's cold, baby's scared. Quiet. He can't learn fear. He must learn obedience." Just then, the trapdoor creaked above. Robert stood, eyes narrowing. An uninvited guest. Carla stepped down, gripping her knife tightly. Her flashlight swept over blood-stained walls, smeared words. "Silence to survive. No one remembers you. Mother's blood is sacrifice blood." She trembled. Below, a flickering neon light snapped on. Robert stood in front of a crude wooden altar. "You signed the pact, in blood," he said. "Give me back my son." Carla screamed. Robert tilted his head, twisted smile spreading. "He's being prepared. Your child is one of the strongest I've seen. But he still cries. He still remembers you. That's exactly why I came." Carla stepped back, gripping the knife tighter. "I'm taking him out of this hell." Robert raised his hand. Claire appeared, cradling the trembling child in a torn blanket. "If you touch me," Robert said coldly, "I'll inject him. One shot. No pain. No one hurts anymore." "Claire!" Carla cried. "You don't have to listen to him. That baby isn't a sacrifice. He's a child. He deserves to live, to be loved." Claire trembled, tears spilling. "He said, if baby stays quiet, he won't punish. No one has the right to punish a child for crying." Carla shouted, voice shaking. Claire wept, frozen. Robert barked, "Claire, inject him now." Claire looked at Robert, then at Carla. She stepped back, holding the baby tightly. She didn't inject. Robert roared and lunged to grab the child. Carla screamed, "No," and charged forward, plunging the knife into Robert's shoulder. He howled, crashing backward. Carla scooped up her son, gasping. "Baby, it's Mommy. I'm here." Robert crawled toward them, reaching. Carla grabbed a water bottle and smashed it across his face. Blood splattered. He collapsed. Claire sobbed. "I don't want this anymore. I don't want to do this." Carla shouted, "Run. Go get help." Above, Andrew Nelson and the state police burst in. Hearing the screams, they broke the door open. Carla emerged from the cellar, covered in blood, clutching her son. "Help, help us." A torrential rain fell, tearing through the icy night of Pine Hollow. Carla ran through the forest, feet slipping in mud, arms wrapped tightly around her infant son, his body cold and limp, barely conscious, eyes bruised, lips purple. She didn't dare stop. Behind her, the cabin where her child had been imprisoned drowned in police sirens and floodlights. Sheriff Lewis Bennett and officers from the state police wrestled Robert Martin to the ground as he thrashed like a wild animal. "How many did you kill, you sick bastard?" Lewis yelled, kicking Robert's shoulder. Robert growled, blood pouring from his mouth. They weren't supposed to live. They're just dolls. Claire, the mentally impaired woman, crouched in the corner sobbing, covering her head. I only did what he told me. I didn't know. Louis clenched his jaw, turned to a deputy. Get that woman to psych eval immediately. And him, cuff him, haul him to Salem County Jail. I want a report tonight. A police officer shouted from the basement, Chief. We found something. They hauled up boxes of evidence, videos, photos, journals scrawled with twisted writing. A map of Colorado dotted with red pins, hospitals, entrances, night shifts, schedules. Louis went pale. Dear God, this isn't just one case. This is a network. Carla burst out of the woods, reaching the dirt road that led back to the village. She flagged down a state police pickup. Stop. Help me. My baby needs a doctor. The driver, Sergeant Ryan Johnson, jumped out and opened the back door. Get in. Quick. Do you have medical supplies? Carla asked urgently. I've got a first aid kit. But we need to get to the nearest clinic, it's 20 kilometers. Carla clutched her son, whispering, hold on, don't sleep. Mommy's here. The baby didn't cry. Didn't move. A smear of red mucus leaked from his nose. At the Springfield Village Medical Center, night shift Dr. Alicia Reed shouted the moment she saw Carla burst through the door. We need emergency care now. Respiratory failure, full body abrasions. Alicia immediately turned on the heater and prepared the oxygen mask. Lay the baby on the table. Mother, please step out while we work. No. I'm staying. Carla screamed. Alicia held her gaze for a second, then nodded. Then hold his arm. We're placing the 4. Blood oozed slowly from the infant's arm. Alicia frowned. Veins are too weak. Skin severely dehydrated. Heart rate at 72, very low. A nurse whispered, old injection marks all over his thighs. Heavy bruising on the chest. Alicia looked at Carla. Do you know who did this to him? He was kidnapped. Locked in a basement. A lunatic. Robert Martin. Alicia paled. My God. I've heard of him. An old case that was buried. Please, save my son. He's everything to me. Meanwhile, at the temporary state police headquarters in the village, Andrew Nelson laid stacks of documents on the table. Louis Bennett glanced through them, voice hoarse. I thought Robert was a lone wolf. Andrew shook his head. No. I followed him before. But never had enough evidence. He's slippery. Someone's been protecting him. Louis slammed his hand down. How many kids did he take? At least 4 cases in Colorado, 2 in Akron, 1 in Greenfield. But only Carla's case left a solid trail. So the swapped baby is his child. Andrew opened a testing report. Maybe. Or a data void, baby born off the record, never registered. Louis muttered, a machine that replaces people with dolls. 4 a.m. At St. Charles Hospital in Salem, Carla sat on a freezing steel chair, clutching the medical report. A young doctor came out, Dr. Brian Carter, calm but visibly tired. Miss Carla? Carla shot to her feet. My son, is he? Brian nodded gently. He's very weak, but he's past the critical phase. We drained his lungs, administered antibiotics, and gave a transfusion. He's currently in a sterile care unit. Carla covered her mouth, tears streaming. He's alive, isn't he? Yes. But, there's something else. Brian's tone slowed. We found a strange biological toxin in his bloodstream. Most likely injected by Robert. What kind of toxin? It suppresses emotional reflexes. Its purpose may have been to make him unresponsive to light, sound, even pain. A form of dehumanization training. Carla felt the air leave her lungs. And, can he recover? Brian paused. We'll do everything we can. The next morning, Salem County Courthouse held its first closed-door emergency hearing. Robert Martin was escorted in, visibly wounded. Across from him sat the prosecutor, and Baldwin. Defendant Robert Martin, and said, "You are provisionally charged with infant abduction, child abuse, identity fraud, and unauthorized access to medical facilities. Do you have anything to say?" Robert glanced around, blood trickling from his lips. "I've committed no crime. I fulfilled a mission." And frowned. Mission? Cleansing the world of crying. No more tears. No more mothers. Only offerings. A quiet laugh echoed, but it came from the gallery. Carla stood up slowly, her voice even. "Then let me speak. A mother is the one who cries in her child's place. Who gets her chest cut open to give birth. Who crosses forests to reclaim that cry." Robert narrowed his eyes. "You don't understand." "No," Carla stepped forward, "you don't understand. A mother isn't someone who just feeds a child. A mother is the one who never lets go." The room fell silent. And added softly, "Your Honor, we request urgent detention and a psychological evaluation." The judge nodded. "Granted. The formal trial will begin in 15 days. That afternoon, at the hospital, Carla visited the disabled infant NB 4782. She cradled the girl gently, humming. "You didn't choose to be born this way. But I choose to stay." Dr. Alicia entered the room. "Ms. Carla, are you sure?" Carla nodded. "I lost my own child for 10 days. I can't let this one lose her whole life." Alicia was moved. "I'll testify on your behalf in the adoption filing." Late that night, Carla sat beside two cribs, one her biological son, the other the swapped girl. The soft yellow lamp lit her tired but peaceful face. Louis Bennett dropped by, tapping lightly on the doorframe. "I heard you're not going back to Colorado." Carla nodded. "I want to leave that city. Take both kids. Go somewhere peaceful." "You deserve that." Carla looked at him. "I'm not thanking you for saving my son. I'm thanking you for believing me when everyone else thought I was delusional." Louis smiled faintly. "I had a sister who lost her baby during childbirth. You did what she never could." Carla gave a faint smile. "I'm not a hero. Just a mother who was pushed to her limit." 3 weeks after the rescue, the Salem sky shone softly, as if it had never known blood, tears, or fear. On the lawn of St. Charles Hospital, Carla pushed a double stroller, her biological son on one side, and the formerly unnamed girl, now with an official name, Lucy, on the other. "Careful, the grass is slippery," Emily called from a bench, holding a hot coffee, smiling at her best friend. Carla turned back and tucked Lucy's blanket tighter. "I thought I'd never see sunshine like this again. And both babies survived, Carla. Because of you." Carla shook her head. "Not just me. It was all of us, Louis, Dr. Alicia, you, even those who turned away at first, but reached out when it mattered most." Emily stepped closer, looking down at the stroller. "You named her Lucy?" "Yeah. It means light." Emily nodded. "Beautiful name. But, are you sure? That's the baby who was swapped. The proof of a nightmare." Carla looked at Lucy, her cloudy eyes still unresponsive to light, her hands curled instinctively. "That's exactly why, she deserves twice the love." At Salem Special Detention Facility, Robert Martin was held in solitary, no contact with other inmates. Guard Paul Evans opened the cell door to place down a tray of food. "Eat up, you filth," Paul said coldly. Robert didn't move. He sat motionless, eyes fixed on the ceiling. Silent, just like the babies you tried to silence, Paul muttered. Robert slowly turned his head, twisted smile spreading. They still cry in my dreams. I hear them. And I know, there are more waiting. Paul squinted. I hope you rot in here. Rot slowly. The way you made those kids suffer. Robert didn't respond. He just laughed. But his eyes began to drift, losing focus. In the prison's medical log, the psychiatrist noted. Patient is experiencing persistent hallucinations. Showing signs of complete dissociation from reality. One morning, at the Salem Supreme Court, the official trial of Robert Martin began. No press allowed inside, but outside, hundreds gathered holding signs. Justice for the children. No mercy for the swapper. Louis Bennett approached Carla, handing her a bottle of water. You sure about this? Today's trial will be long. I don't need it to be long. I just need it to be clear. Inside, prosecutor and Baldwin presented. We have full evidence, DNA, photographs, voice recordings, testimony from nurses and doctors. Robert Martin systematically infiltrated hospitals, targeted twin births, and executed methodical swaps. The accused initiated anonymous training by injecting chemicals that suppressed emotion, isolating newborns in harsh environments, and justifying it all through warped ritualistic beliefs. Carla was called to the witness stand. She stepped forward, hands clasped. I didn't just lose a child. I lost my trust in medicine, in law. I was labeled as a mother suffering from postpartum delusions. But that doubt saved my son. She pointed to Robert. He wasn't just a madman. He was the result of negligence, of a broken system, and of the fear that keeps people silent. Robert said nothing. He didn't look at her. The trial lasted 3 days. Finally, the verdict. Defendant Robert Martin is sentenced to 28 years in prison for the crimes of infant abduction, medical facility breach, child torture, and attempted murder. He is hereby ordered into mandatory psychiatric treatment and denied eligibility for parole. Outside the courthouse, Emily broke down in tears. Louis placed a hand on Carla's shoulder. Justice has spoken. Carla simply replied, now I need peace, for my children. A few months later. In a small village nestled in the Shenandoah Valley, Carla moved into a rented house with a tiny garden, no fence, just a white-blossomed plum tree. 2 cribs sat by the large front window, where sunlight poured in each morning. Lucy still couldn't speak or walk. But whenever Carla approached, she would burst into laughter. And Carla's biological son had begun babbling his first sounds. Ma, ma. Carla smiled, pulling both children into her arms. Yes, that's right. I'm here. I'm your mom. I'm the mother of you both. Emily called via video. How's the new home? It's good. The sky is clear, the people are kind. And the kids are slowly becoming themselves again. Planning to stay long. Forever. Before leaving, Carla had left a letter at St. Charles Hospital, where she once sat crying through the night beside her son. Motherhood is not just about giving birth. It's about saving. About holding on to a life at all costs. Some children are born of pain, but survive through love. Don't close the files. Don't erase the names. Every little heartbeat deserves to be remembered. 1 year later. At the small playground near the edge of the village, locals often saw a young woman pushing a double stroller. A little boy toddled ahead, while a little girl giggled from the stroller. She never said much about her past. Only. We're a family. We were born again through each other. Motherhood is not solely defined by blood, but by resilience, courage, and forgiveness. Carla's story reminds us that in the darkest of places, love can still be the guiding light. When systems fail, a mother's intuition and faith become the final compass. Even in betrayal, doubt, and loss, a true mother never lets go. And sometimes, the greatest act of salvation is compassion for a child who was never yours.
If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.